Hello, folks. This is here, your good deacon, Salty Balls. I'm here today to reach out and give y'all as far as what this all means in regards to um, negotiation fall throughs, black men in America, resulting in passport bros. Well, let's start with operationalizing some definitions of some things, all right? A BATNA. What is a BATNA? A BATNA, which is BATNA, is an abbreviation for best alternative to a negotiating agreement. We're all here and we all understand that the social contract is falling through. And when you're negotiating, there's usually kind of what they call a ZOPA. Okay? A ZOPA is a zone of potential agreement. Okay? Well, us as black men, we propose that we have, women here that are feminine, fit, friendly, obedient, traditional. On the other side, we have, B-dubs proposing that, we do partnerships. If not partnerships, more than that, which could include protection, provisioning, onto fully taking care of them along with sharing them with other people. Now, in this sort of negotiation, there seems to be what we've reached a zero-sum game, okay? A zero-sum game is, one of those situations to where in economic theory, game theory in particular, which is a subset of economic theory, whereas you're in a situation where it's either or situation. Okay? No fulfilled or respectable black man wants a black woman who doesn't fall under the feminine, fit, or friendly. And even then, someone with a low sexual market value, lots of bodies, bad reputation, big mouth, disrespectful, and resentful. On the other side of it, the black women want the devil's number, the 666. They want the 6-pack, 6 feet, 6 figures, and some can argue 6 inches and above, and we're not necessarily talking about height, we're talking about horizontal. So, this zone of potential agreements is the middle of negotiations where, there's a middle ground, okay? Let's say that, I have a Honda Altima, Nissan Altima rather, and I'll potentially know that myself, I have, somebody been smoking it, the engine's been messed up, and I want to sell that Nissan Altima for $30,000. Okay? And the party is like, well, it's a Nissan Altima. I believe it's worth $8,000. Now, what I present and what the car is actually worth, or what other people deem it as worth, is two different things. And if there's no zone where we can meet on what the price is, there is no ZOPA, no zone of potential agreement. Fall through the negotiations. Okay? And whenever there's a fall through in negotiations and there's no leveraging, black men have considered the best alternative to the negotiated agreement. Now, the negotiated agreement, what used to be, was the social contract that black men and black women had. particularly after post-Reconstruction America, when people were married, had their families, and Big Mama did what she needed to do. Big Dad did what he needed to do up until he kept on ticking. But now we're in a new environment. And so things have become more siloed, particularly after the 1960s, right? And we're sort of siloed. There's this level of hyper-individualism. And this sort of hyper-individualism leads to less room for a zone of potential agreement. Okay? So if you already feel that somebody isn't worth shit, what are you negotiating with them for? Okay? And so black men, once again, have looked at the BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. And this happens with any transaction, whether it's relationships with people, whether it's economic transactions, political transactions, or whatever the case may be. Okay? And this leads us to the next rational conclusion. Passport bros. Okay? Now, people have always had their issues and grievances with, the B-dub for years. This has happened for some time. This isn't nothing new. Okay, we can go back to the Philadelphia Negro and W.B. Du Bois and his comments about, what went on then, on to, E. Franklin Frazier in the 1930s with the Negro family, on to Moneyhan Report, on to, other issues. Now, these things will go on. Don't get me wrong. Yes, they would. And things wasn't perfect, but they were more or less largely intact, as we just, stated before. Big Mama, Big Daddy. But now, as we've infused ourselves in sort of this high-powered version of the modern day Inquisition, witch hunt, McCarthyism, but instead is by virtue of the woke crowd, council culture. Things have been delusionally siloed off to hyper-individualism, hedonism, nihilism, sprinkle, black girl magic, things as such. And so the best alternative to a negotiated agreement, which that negotiated agreement was the social contracts, has fallen through. And as I said before, people have had their issues, they've voiced their grievances years and years, but there hasn't been a thorn in anybody's ass as much as it has been this damn passport bros. I mean, you would think that these passport bros is, the next thing to the devil. Let the sisters tell it. And of course, they try to craft out things by using dog whistling language. And we all know this sort of dog whistle language is to be used to bring us back to a negotiation table. And a negotiation table by which us as black men left because we were considering other options. A BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement, because it's hereby null and void. So when you hear things directly or indirectly aimed at taking shots at black men and their self-agency, their self-determination, and their choices, I don't care whether or not, today they said something cool, yesterday or last week they said something cool, or the next week. But you listen to them enough, they'll tell you what sort of side of the table, if at all, they land on. Whether they're trying to careen you back onto the corral like wild animals, get your ass back to the ranch, get your ass back to the plantation. Okay? And so all these sorts of things is used as mechanisms of social control. Shame, guilt, lies, even using very, very charged words to try to draw the attention of authorities. And people are just doing what they have the right to do, and which our veterans and any other American citizen does. Globally travel. And I think, they're trying to castigate this sort of movement as something that is only associated with dating, where there's connections, general enjoyment and leisure, exploration, self-discovery, learning different languages, health, as if different sorts of quality in these places, along with food quality, even value system. But this is why we still need to practice self-determination, continue to debunk the BS. Because you have a passport and you're a black man that travels, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are a passport, bro. It doesn't mean that. You have people, who go to these different places, they're not prepared, they get themselves caught up in situations and stuff like that. I don't see how that's any different than going anywhere here in the community, right? Where, people are set up in apps, where people are, done some sort of harm or whatever the case may be. And to tell you the truth, Colombia, we're talking about crime, has had, a history. I will admit that, but, AIDS is supposedly nothing. And guess what? That's just 8 that, they're saying as propaganda in games. Okay? People are just reaching and grasping straws at this point. Okay? I think that, people are doing this to be disingenuous, because they know that brothers have options. Nobody said anything when, these lovely ladies went to Jamaica and Ghana, Gabon and Senegal and all these other places, and, they're engaging truthfully in, eggs tourism, and it's very well documented. I mean, you have Stella got her back as the most poignant example. These girls trips and, these sipping paint parties, if that's what we want to call them, even here. Okay? But once again, anything we do has to be hyper surveilled, because anything we touch, we have a little swag to it, And let's stop. Let's stop with this. And if we want to, be quite honest about it, passport bros isn't nothing new. It's not. Black have been traveling since the country have been established. Almost every place this country's been to, and they salute to the veterans. Black men have, in large ways have decided to, formulate their own expat communities and, get away from, some of the things that are going on here in the States. I mean, one would say they're our progenitors. They're proto-passport brothers. Okay? But I guess, since it's been less under a banner, you know, I think that irks some people, which is okay. But that banner is there as a beacon to inform people as their option. That's what it is for. I mean, you hear a lot of people saying, why don't you go quietly? Why don't you, do your own thing? And why do you have to announce it to the world or whatever the case may be? That's not necessarily for you. It's not. It's for other brothers. Okay? I mean, it's almost like going into the barbershop and, a brother, might talk about something that he's proud of, and you have the one person, one lovely lady who just happened to be picking up her son, single baby mom, complaining about what she hears in the barbershop. That is actually meant for men and male socialization anyway. So I say you all stick to moving forward. Don't give up in the yardage or anything like that. But I want you all to take away from this. This is nothing but a big game. I'm talking about game theory, okay? Negotiation. Information asymmetry is something that you all should be big into too, or to think about. Information asymmetry is like, let's say for instance, you're buying a product and somebody knows that this product is effective in some way or another, and that person isn't going to volunteer all of the reasons as to why that particular product is defective in the first place. Sounds familiar? Much like, maybe body count or moral decay or any of the other flaws and things like that. So there's a sort of inflated value than what somebody would otherwise invest in the time, attention, love, and so forth, where, otherwise, it's been more or less proven that mindset is different. There's an ingrained value system in other places. Here, we talk about a quote unquote communita, but communitas are more or less built on families. And I haven't seen any families recently in the Black community, not at all. No stable or structured family. So there isn't any damn community. Let's just get that straight and be honest here. Okay? I will say that, us with our intellect, our means, and capital, go other places and do what we've been doing. We've been builders, take social capital, economic capital, and otherwise to do just that. And that's all I got to say. I mean, that's my little, rant for today. I saw it as the Blue Book, BATNA, and us, brothers or whatnot. Y'all going to have a nice day.